Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Alex Espinosa on YouTube. I am here with a very special guest. I have known him for about 4 years. He plays the bass, and he's going to be teaching me something that a guitarist would not want to learn, but it's important according to some people. Mr. Miguel Guerra. Miguel, I want to thank you very much for taking the time for this interview.
Alex, thank you for having me.
All right, let's go ahead and go to the basics. Miguel, how important is the bass? We know it's about rhythm, but what makes rhythm so important?
Well, first of all, have you ever tried listening to a song or anything with the bass down, like absolutely off?
No, I haven't.
It sounds dry and horrible. That's why bass is important. Second of all, to quote a show, bass is the foundation of the band. Even though a lot of people don't think about it or recognize it, it lays down the rhythm that the rhythm guitarist and that the lead guitarist will follow. Because a lot of the times the drummer will throw in fills or things like that, and that throws them off. And so the bass is like the constant of the song, which is how they're able to keep track of performance times and tempo and things like that.
And speaking of songs, can you name a couple that have a really important bass line in it?
Right off the top of my head, it has to be "Message in a Bottle" by Sting and the Police.
Yeah, that song.
If you took out the bass from that song, there would just be those long, empty bits of silence.
And Sting's voice, obviously, Sting's voice.
Yeah, but of course, but that song is utterly carried by the bass alone. And especially if you can tell, I don't doubt if you can tell, most people won't be able to tell, but the bass that it was originally recorded on was a fretless bass. And you can tell that because it's a lot warmer and you don't get like that little clanky bit whenever there are strings, whenever there are frets there.
Yeah, I can relate to that. Mm-hmm. But how would you be able to play a fretless bass if you don't know where to go specifically, or do you have to be very careful?
That's sort of an upper level bass to where you recognize, okay, this is my tuning, and you just sort of memorize fret placements, and you just get it as close as you can. Lack of frets is very intimidating to a lot of bass players.
Yeah, it could be the same way with guitar. And so now I want to go more on a personal level for you, Miguel. Why did you decide to play the bass? So
I decided to play the bass mostly because, so at the time I'd been drumming for several years and things like that, and I'd wanted to make a band. And just, there were so many drummers, so many guitars, so many everything, and I just wanted to be a part of a band, and I thought, nobody plays bass. I like bass. At the time, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World had just come out, and that was a huge inspiration for me, and so I thought, forget it, let's just run straight into bass, and since then I've been playing ever since.
Do you have any basses that you follow or that you idolize?
I used to really follow Max Green a lot from Escape to Fate. Just kind of dropped from there. Flea, of course. Classic. I was going to say you can't not follow.
You can't deny the classics.
You can't deny the classics. But as for basses that I follow, no, not really. Unfortunately, coming to college, I haven't really had the time to practice very much.
I know I can relate. Whenever I play guitar, after not playing for a year, it feels good to just get back into playing a certain instrument.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And then when we've jammed, like the few times that we have, it feels so nice to be able to connect with somebody through a song and things like that, and just be able to nail it perfectly, where you're just like, we're studio ready, but you're not.
Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is Alex Espinosa on YouTube. Just in case you just joined us, I'm here with Miguel Guerra. He plays the bass. He's taught me the importance of how it provides a soul for the band. A couple of bass players, such as Sting from the Police, if you listen to the song Message in the Bottle, you understand how important that song is with the bass. So Miguel, to close off, my last question is, what's the difference between a 5-string and a 4-string bass?
In reality, there is absolutely no difference at all.
Same sound, or
it is the tunings are the exact same. The only difference is the fact that you have a bigger fretboard and an extra string, which increases the amount of notes and chords that you can play. But for the most part, it does little to nothing. They sound the exact same. You could reach the same effect with just changing the tuning of your top E string to a low B, and there you go.
All right. Well, that's all the time we have, Miguel. Thank you very much for this interview. Ladies and gentlemen, you had just listened to Miguel Guerra explaining the importance of the bass. This is Alex Espinosa on YouTube. See you around.
Thank you, guys.